أحيا الناس جميعا ولقد جاءتهم رسلنا بالبينات ثم إن كثيرا منهم بعد ذلك في الأرض لمسرفون صدق الله العظيم. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Jazakallah, brother Yusondri bin Khudri. We would like to welcome the arrival of His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad along with Dr. Zakir Naik to the hall. I would like now to kindly read to you the translation which was brought to you from the glorious Quran, Surah Al-Maidah, chapter 5, verse 32, by brother Yusondri bin Khudri a while ago. And the translation reads, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. On that account, we ordained for the children of Israel that if anyone slew a person, unless it be for murder or for spreading mischief in the land, it would be as if he slew the whole people. And if anyone saved a life, it would be as if he saved the life of the whole people. Then, although there came to them our messengers with clear signs, yet even after that, many of them continued to commit excess in the land. Sadaqallahul Azim. His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, respected Dr. Zakir Naik, distinguished guests, respected elders, brothers and sisters. We are privileged today to gather here tonight on this historic day. I don't think there will be anybody here who needs any introduction of our beloved former Prime Minister, His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. However, it is important for me to mention that His Excellency was the longest serving Prime Minister of our country for about 22 years. His Excellency is currently the chairman of Global Peace Foundation. His Excellency is also the president of All Malaysian Muslim Welfare Association. His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has always been an inspirational figure who has inspired millions of people throughout the world. Without wasting any further time, I would like to humbly and kindly request His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad to kindly deliver his keynote address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. dan salam sejahtera kepada hadirin sekalian. Yang berbahagia Dr. Zakir Naik, pemimpin-pemimpin Perkim, umat Islam yang hadir pada malam ini, tuan-tuan, puan-puan, hadirin sekalian. Oleh kerana ramai yang tidak fasih dalam bahasa kebangsaan, izinkan saya bercakap dalam bahasa Inggeris. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored that I should be asked to speak to this vast audience of Muslims. Frankly, this is the first time I've seen so many Muslims of all races gathered together. Principally, I believe, in order to hear a talk by Dr. Zakir Naik. He is a very well-known Islamic speaker, and I'm quite sure he will be able to clear our minds on many matters concerning our religion. And we need this. We need to have our minds cleared because many of us are very confused about our religion. We are confused because we hear very many different interpretations of Islam. And because of the different interpretations of Islam, Muslims are deeply divided. We see Muslims killing other Muslims. And this is forbidden by Allah. The Quran is very specific in that Muslims may not kill other Muslims unless, of course, it is for some crime. And even that, the killing must be done after proper trial and decision by a recognized court of law. But we find it unfortunate that in many instances Muslims kill Muslims because of different interpretations. And this, of course, is doing the work of all the enemies of Islam. We, the Muslims, are actually doing the work of the enemies of Islam. This happens because we are confused. And I do hope that Dr. Zakir will be able to enlighten us on the true teachings of Islam. We in Malaysia live in a multiracial, multi-religious country. Normally, peoples of different races and religions do not get on well with each other. Normally, they would be fighting each other. But fortunately for us, there is no major fighting between Muslims and non-Muslims. But the Muslims are also divided among themselves. And this is because other things that are not about Islam has intervened to cause us to be enemies of each other. In Malaysia, despite the fact that there are many peoples of many religions, we almost never get together. Particularly, we find that Muslims do not want to sit down and discuss their religion with peoples of other faiths. The fear is that they may be converted to the religions of others. But surely our iman is strong enough so that we can resist any attempt to separate us from our religion. But what is more important is that if the peoples of other religions are to understand the teachings of Islam, it is important that we meet them and we explain to them what Islam is all about. If we don't meet them, how can we explain to them that Islam is a religion of peace? Those who follow the teachings of Islam will be the successful people in this world. So it is important for us not only to strengthen our iman, but that we should see people of other religions as well, remembering of course that 600, 700 or 800 years ago, we Malays were not Muslims. We were Hindus, or we had no religion at all. But the Muslims came from India and from the Arabian Peninsula to Malaysia. As Muslims, they meet the Malays who were not Muslims, and they talk with these people. How could the Malays accept Islam if the Muslims who came here, the Arab Muslims, the Indian Muslims who came here, refuses to meet non-Muslims? They did not refuse. Instead, they get along with Malay non-Muslims, and eventually, because of their good behavior, because of their success, because of their piety, their strength, the strength of their religion, the non-Muslim rulers of the Malays decided that they should embrace Islam. Thus it is that today all Malays are Muslims.
The solution for humanity.
We are all Muslims. Fortunately, we belong to the same sect. We are from the Sunni sect, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and we follow the teachings of Imam Shafi'i without rejecting Maliki, Hanafi or Hanbali. That is our religion, and therefore we don't fight each other, because all Muslims, all Malay Muslims belong to the same sect. But we live in a multi-religious country. It is important that Muslims meet the followers of other religions so that we may explain to them the goodness of Islam. And if they hear us, I am sure they will understand Islam better. Even if they don't convert to Islam, the fact that they understand Islam better is already a plus for us. Maybe one day they will be moved to accept the teachings of Islam. Even if they don't, they will understand Islam, that it is a religion of peace, and therefore they will not make enemies of us, because they know that Islam is not an enemy to them. Islam accepts that they have their religion while we Muslims have our religion. To them, their religion, to us, our religion. So, when there is that understanding, then there will be peace and stability in our country. And peace and stability is what we Muslims should seek for. We always greet each other with the words, Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be on you. Because Islam believes in peace. And even if people are not of the same religion, there should be peace. We should solve our problems not through fighting and killing, because that has no end. Instead, we should explain to each other the problems that are faced by us and seek to solve our problems in a peaceful manner. We must remember that the Prophet went to the Jahiliyyah, who at one time were divided into different Kabilah, and they fought each other because there were feuds between them. Why they were fighting each other? But because they belong to different Kabilah, and these Kabilah are against other Kabilah. But the Prophet united them by explaining to them that it is wrong to fight and kill each other. And because of that, they embraced Islam. And from then on, all these different followers of the different Kabilah were united as one to become the Muslim Ummah. And it is these same people who eventually spread the word of Islam to the rest of the world. To the rest of the world, because Islam was so convincing as a religion that people convert to Islam in huge numbers, so that we find Muslims from China in the east until Spain in the west, from the borders of Russia down to Indonesia and other southern parts. That is because the Muslims of those days carry out the injunctions of Islam to spread the religion, to do da'wah, to explain that Islam is a good religion. And because they believe in meeting people not of their own faith, they were able to convert them so that the Muslim community increased by the millions. Today we believe we have 1.7 billion Muslims in the world. Roughly every fifth person in the world is a Muslim. How could they become Muslim if we as Muslims do not work to spread the words among the non-Muslims? So if we are invited to speak, to meet peoples of other religions, fear not, because our iman is good, is strong, and therefore we can explain to them what Islam is all about. Islam is not about terrorism. Islam is about peace. And if we preach the true words of Allah as found in the Al-Quran, I am quite sure that we will able to bring peace to this troubled world, and we will increase the number of people who believe in the teachings of Allah, in the teachings that was brought to us by our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we will meet each other as Muslims whether we belong to one sect or another, and not fight among each other the way we are doing today. I would like to say that we in Malaysia welcome Dr. Zakir Naik, and I'm sure you are all anxious to listen to him. And with the best wishes to him and to us all, I end my speech with a lot of thank you. Thank you very much.
We would like to express our gratitude and thanks to Your Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad for his wise words. Now, brothers and sisters, we move on to our main event, and I would like to introduce to you our main speaker tonight. Dr. Zakir Naik is a medical doctor by professional training, a dynamic international orator on Islam and comparative religion. Dr. Naik is the president of Islamic Research Foundation of Mumbai, India. He clarifies the Islamic viewpoints and clears misconceptions about Islam using the Quran, the authentic hadiths, and other religious scriptures as basis in conjunction with reason, logic, and scientific facts. Dr. Zakir Naik is famous for his critical analysis and convincing answers to challenging questions posed by audiences after his public talks. In the last 16 years, Dr. Naik has delivered more than 1,500 public talks throughout the world. Including USA, Canada, major parts of Europe, including UK, Italy, the major parts of Middle East, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, Kuwait, also in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Botswana, Singapore, Hong Kong, Thailand, Guyana, Trinidad, Mauritius, and many other countries, including our beloved Malaysia, in addition to many other talks delivered in India itself. Our beloved brother, Dr. Zakir Naik, was featured in the Indian Express list of the 100 most powerful Indians in 2009 and again in 2010. In the special list in 2009 of the top 10 spiritual gurus of India, Dr. Naik was ranked at number 3. Dr. Zakir has been placed in the top 62 in the list of the 500 most influential Muslims in the world, published by the George Washington University of USA. Dr. Zakir Naik appears regularly on many international TV channels in more than 200 countries of the world. The ideology and driving force behind the Peace TV network is Dr. Zakir Naik himself. He launched Peace TV English in January 2006, it being the largest watched Islamic as well as any religious satellite TV channel presently in the world, with over 100 million viewers, out of which more than 25% are non-Muslim. In its footstep, he launched Peace TV Urdu in 2009 and Peace TV Bangla in 2011. We are truly grateful to Brother Naik for coming to Malaysia during this Malaysian tour, despite his pending 4,000 international invitations throughout the world. Kuala Lumpur, it is now your turn to show the gratitude, the warm welcome of the true Malaysian hospitality. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, I am truly honored to kindly welcome our beloved brother, Dr. Zakir Naik, to the stage to deliver his public talk on the topic, Islam's view on Terrorism and Jihaad. Kuala Lumpur, please join me in welcoming Dr. Zakir Naik to the stage. Malaysia, I give you Dr. Zakir Naik.
Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam. Ala Rasulillah wa ala ali wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa qul ja'al haqq wa zaqal batil. Innal batila kana zahuqa. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Honorable Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, my respected elders, and my brothers and sisters, I welcome all of you with the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of Almighty God, be on all of you. The topic of this evening's talk of mine is Islam's view on terrorism and jihad. Islam is derived from the Arabic word salam, which means peace. It's also derived from the Arabic word silm, which means to submit your will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Almighty God. Islam, in short, means peace acquired by submitting your will to Almighty God. And a person who acquires peace by submitting his will to Almighty God is called as a Muslim. Today, the most important weapon in the world is the media. The media can convert black into white, day into night, hero into a villain, villain into a hero. And we find today in the international media, there is virulent propaganda regarding Islam. We find in the international media, the international newspapers, the international magazines, the radio broadcast stations, the international satellite channels, on the internet, they are bombarding misconceptions about Islam. And according to an article that came in the Newsweek magazine on 16th of April, 1979, it said that more than 60,000 books have been written against Islam in a span of 150 years. If you calculate, it is more than one book every day. And after 9/11, this has reached epidemic levels. And we find regularly in the media that Muslims are labeled as fundamentalists, as extremists, as terrorists. What is the meaning of the word fundamentalist? A fundamentalist, by definition, means a person who follows the fundamentals of one particular subject. For example, if a person wants to be a good mathematician, he should know, follow, and practice the fundamentals of maths. Unless he is a fundamentalist in the field of maths, he cannot be a good mathematician. For a person to be a good scientist, he should know, follow, and practice the fundamentals of science. Unless he is a fundamentalist in the field of science, he cannot be a good scientist. We cannot paint all fundamentalists with the same brush, that all are good or all are bad. Depending in which field the person is a fundamentalist, you have to label him accordingly. For example, if you have a fundamentalist robber whose profession is to rob, he is bad for society. He's not a good fundamentalist. On the other hand, if you have a fundamentalist doctor whose profession is to save thousands of human lives, he is good for the society. You can't paint all fundamentals with the same brush. You have to first analyze in which field is the person a fundamentalist. As far as I am concerned, I am a fundamentalist Muslim and I am proud to be a fundamentalist Muslim. Because I know, I follow and I strive to practice the fundamental of Islam, and I know that there is not a single fundamental of Islam which is against humanity as a whole. There may be certain teachings of Islam which some human beings may not know the background, but the moment you give the reply with reason, logic, and why these teachings are there, there is not a single unbiased human being in the world who can point out a single fundamental of Islam which is against humanity as a whole. When we read the Webster's dictionary, we come to know that fundamentalism was a word coined first time to describe the Christians of America in the early part of the 20th century. They were called as Protestant Christians because they protested against the church. The church believed that the message of the Bible was from God. These Protestant Christians, they protested and said, not only is the message of the Bible from God, every word, every letter of the Bible is from God. If someone can prove that every word of the Bible is from God, this movement is a good movement. But on the other hand, if someone can prove that every word of the Bible is not from God, then this movement of fundamentalism is not good. According to Oxford Dictionary, fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the ancient teachings and scriptures of any religion. But when we read the revised edition of the Oxford Dictionary, there's a slight change. The revised edition of Oxford Dictionary says that fundamentalist is a person who strictly adheres to the ancient teachings and scriptures of any religion, especially Islam. Especially Islam has been added in the revised edition of the Oxford Dictionary. The moment you hear the word fundamentalist, you start thinking of a Muslim. Muslims are fundamentalists, Muslims are extremists, and many a times we Muslims go on the defense. As Dr. Mahathir Mohamad rightly said, that why should we be apologetic? Many of us Muslims go on the defense. No, I am not a fundamentalist, I am not an extremist. I tell the world that I am an extremist. I'm extremely kind, I'm extremely merciful, I'm extremely loving, I'm extremely just, I'm extremely honest. What's wrong in being extremely kind, extremely just, extremely honest? Can any human being tell me that being extremely kind is wrong, being extremely honest is wrong, being extremely just is wrong? If it benefits you, you're just. If it does not benefit you, you're not just. That's not Islam. And Quran says you have to be extremely kind, extremely loving, extremely compassionate, extremely honest. If you are a practicing Muslim, you have to be extremely kind, extremely honest, extremely just. You have to be extremist in the correct direction. Today the media labels, the media says that Muslims are terrorists. What is the meaning of the word terrorist? A terrorist by definition means a person who causes terror. When a robber sees a policeman, he's terrified. So for the robber, the policeman is a terrorist. And many times we see that for the same person, for the same activity, two different labels are given. And the best example is when India was ruled by the British government about more than 60 years ago. There were many Indians who were fighting for the freedom of the country. These people, by the British government, they were called as terrorists. But we common Indians, we call these people as patriots, as freedom fighters. Same people, same activity, but two different labels. If you agree with the view of the British government that they had a right to rule over India, then you have to call these people as terrorists. But if you agree with the view of the common Indians that the Britishers came to India to do business, they have no right to rule over us, you would call these people as patriots, as freedom fighters. Same people, same activity, but two different labels. And many a times, when I'm addressing the Indian press, and they asked me the question that why are Muslims terrorists? So I asked them a question that more than 65 years ago, the Britishers called Bhagat Singh as a terrorist. Do you believe? And the press says no. I said, why? No, because we know that Bhagat Singh was not a terrorist, he was a patriot. I said, even I do not agree that Bhagat Singh was a terrorist. He was a patriot. 60 years back when the Britishers labeled Bhagat Singh as a terrorist, you don't agree with him. Now when the Britishers are labeling Muslims as terrorists, why do you agree with them? Why these double standards? And we have this example in history in several places in the world. We know that a couple of centuries back, Britishers used to rule America. In 1776 was the American Revolution. At that time, there were many Americans who were fighting for the freedom of the country. And at that time, the British government called George Washington as terrorist number one. Terrorist number one in 1776, according to the British government, was George Washington. When USA gets its freedom, terrorist number one becomes the president of USA. We have example of South Africa. Previously, when the white apartheid government ruled South Africa, they arrested Nelson Mandela and imprisoned him in Robben Islands for more than 25 years. And they called him the terrorist number one. When South Africa got its freedom, the same terrorist number one becomes the president of New South Africa. And later on, he gets the Nobel Prize for Peace. Not that he was bad and he became good. For the same activity for which he was called terrorist number one, later on, he gets the Nobel Prize for Peace. Can you imagine terrorist number one in the world getting Nobel Prize for Peace? So what we realize, that whoever is in power, whatever label is given, it gets stuck, whether right or wrong. So today media is very powerful. Whatever label the media gives, unfortunately, it gets stuck, irrespective whether it's right or wrong. That's why I said, today, media is the most powerful weapon in the world. It can convert black into white, day into night, hero into a villain, villain into a hero. And unfortunately, we Muslims, we are very backward as far as media is concerned.
ووعد الإله أكيد لنا بنصر قريب وفتح مبين.